Warning. The following podcast contains politics, leftist politics, the whole truth, justice, American way thing. We live in a time where one has to post this. Progress is a dirty word, such as science and reason. My superheroes would weep. This podcast contains naughty language as well. Welcome everybody to the end of the year. This is Serge bringing you DC Domingo. What you just heard is a State of Trance episode 846. Big shout out to Armin van Buuren. I'm a big fan of his stuff, so if you like that kind of music, go for it. It goes really well with Forza gaming, and Xbox stuff, and just video games, and reading comics, and all that cool stuff, working out, going for jogs. Extracurricular activities with the ladies, if you know what I mean. Especially, if you're in the mall, that's my kind of jam. Anyways, we are in pretty damn good mood coming at ya. I got my new Castle Brown Ale beer. I got my list of the top 10 things for DC. And I just want to give out a shout out to all the people that I'm steadily, becoming, kind of accustomed to. A lot of people are tuning in. I'm still not going to do ads, and I'm not going to do, Patreon, because I think that kind of hinders your ability to say whatever you want. But if you tune in, thank you so much. I don't do this for financial or attention whoring. I'm just going to keep on doing this because I really love DC Comics and everything that comes along. So I appreciate every single one of you, whether it's like new fans or, tuning in for the, 20-something time. It's kind of cool that this is the 25th, episode. It's kind of a celebration of all things DC related. This list is actually pretty damn cool. It incorporates, movies, video games, comic books, things about the media. I think you're going to be surprised by my number one pick. It's a big story that a lot of people are not picking up. And, that's why we make these kind of podcasts, because a lot of people are not very well informed. There's a lot of opinions in the age of information. That kind of doesn't really fucking help us. Anyways, so we're gonna get started. And yes, 2016 promised us a lot of cool stuff in 2017. So, this is what I think are some of the best things in 2017. Number 10, the Lego Batman movie. So a lot of people were kind of, like, oh my God, I want my Adam West. I want my country back. So this kind of Batman kind of fit into the, goofy take of the 1960s. It is for kids. A lot of the jokes were, they were pretty funny. If you read the comics, there's a lot of Easter eggs. I think it's basically the same movie that we've seen before. I don't know if you've seen the other Lego DC related things, They did a short. I think it's about 20 something minutes. I think it's Batmite making Superman realize that he was the leader or something. I don't know, but it's basically the same premise as the Lego Batman. Execution's pretty good. It is kind of funny, but I kind of wish that everything was a little bit more Lego-ish. I found that some of the backgrounds were pretty realistic CG, and I'm like, dude, it's supposed to look like plastic. But aside from that, a lot of critics wanted a lighter Batman after Batman versus Superman, and they got it. And I think what was that one long-faced dude, Jeremy Jams, Comic Sans, I don't know what the fuck his name is. He was like, there's too many jokes. I couldn't laugh at all of them. It's like, well, that's what you freaking asked for, right? So, what I liked about this movie is that it made it, a movie that kids can go to. And it kind of made people go, yeah, I kind of like the Dark Batman. But, it was fun. I enjoyed it. All the kids liked it. Freaking toys are everywhere. So, yeah, that's why I think it's worthy to mention. Because, as much as we like to think our superheroes as not being that kid-friendly, it's more like teenage and adult, to be honest. It started with urban crime and stuff like that. Thus, the name Detective Comics. So it's kind of cool that they're branching out into these kind of things. I hope they don't corner the market and kill it. It'll become boring. Number 9, the Doomsday Clock has begun. And just with under 2 issues, actually. And it belongs on this list. I'm pretty damn sure it's going to be on the top 10 list of next year again, because most of the, other issues will be released next year. But just with 2, man, we had we had 4 mentions in 2 of the Batmans and 2 of the Flash comics earlier, in the DC comics, and it was a nice tease, when the DC Rebirth hit, you saw the button from Watchmen. You were like, what the hell's going on? So the first 2 issues have really paid off. And without going much into spoiler territory, basically the Watchmen are joining DC Comics. Rorschach is alive. And if you checked, not to spoil anything, but the cover for the second issue has Lex Luthor with Ozymandias. So things will get very, very interesting. If you don't have a comic book shop next to your town, maybe ask around. There is a subscription service, or you can buy it on your iPad or other tablets. I don't condone downloading them illegally. I know that some of you have no other choice. But, please, support your artists, because otherwise they're just going to give you crap. Number 8, Injustice 2 video game. What can I say? This is the Fighter of the Year by the Video Game Awards, and pretty much every, fighting game enthusiast that I know. The customization of this is insane. It keeps you coming back. Me with an Xbox One Elite controller, I was having a lot of fun. My right thumb is no longer dead. I remember I destroyed a PlayStation 1 controller when I was doing Street Fighter versus X-Men. Man, fuck that game. It was hard. So in this one, it's nice with the Xbox One Elite controller because it has the pads below, and you can assign, kicks and punches, kind of like however you feel like them. And it's a lot more ergonomic, if you work and then you have to come home all tired, you kind of look for alternatives to, still game but not kill your hands, and if you're an adult and you're working in a blue collar job, or, if you're typing a lot all day in a white collar job, it sucks. So you want to be able to come home and enjoy gaming. It has received rave reviews, as you can tell from this, clip image alone. And yeah, the customization is insane. You can play with your friends online. The story mode is insane. If you haven't picked up the comics that bridges the gap between these two video games, please do so. They're available at your local bookstore in graphic novel format, or you can again order them digitally. Yeah, I can't believe this game is so damn exciting. It even has freaking Ninja Turtles and Hellboy. Freaking awesome. Number 7 is the Suicide Squad Oscar. The Marvel movies might be the rave among all the social media who don't know Jack. They're like, oh my god, almost trading movies, Infinity War, yet 0 fucking Oscars. All they have to taunt is like the money. It's like, well, yeah, but most of your movies are released in 3D, and movie ticket inflation sucks. Still, we're not doing anywhere near what Gone with the Wind or Titanic did in actual ticket sales, ticket per capita. Do I think cinema is dead? Absolutely not, but we're not hitting those giant numbers like, the other two that followed Titanic and Gone with the Wind. It's the original Star Wars and Avatar. So we can't really brag about, box office, because if you look at the first 5 movies from DC, they're making a lot more money, yes, but again, ticket prices are higher than when the Marvel movies were released. We're not going to be dicks about it either. We're not going to go, haha, we're making more money than you guys did, and you guys can't even match the first Avengers in box office. So, it's not, I think that most of the people that go online with these companies, they want to go and just brag on people who don't belong to these things. It's the weird, it's a weird mentality of not being able to enjoy your shit unless you're criticizing somebody else's farts. It's like, dude, don't fucking do that. Stay in your fucking lane. That's why, channels like this exist, to kind of put people in their fucking place and be like, you want to talk? All right, if this is going to be a dick measuring contest, DC Comics invented the fucking rule. So yes, I'm very, very excited. And, the fact that these Italian dudes won the Oscar, it's pretty freaking awesome. A lot of people forget that, this isn't about just freaking comics. These are artists that have made other movies besides Suicide Squad. It's really good to have your work recognized. So yeah, for all the people that hate on DC and stuff, Suicide Squad did an amazing job with practical makeup. What good is having a very realistic bad guy like Snoke if you're not gonna develop the character and you cut him in half? His growth, you cut his growth in half. It's kind of a giant fuck you to people, and this is great. I like the fact that we have an Oscar, and hopefully it won't be the last award DC gets. Number 6, Crisis on Earth X by the CW TV shows. Now, a lot of people like to bring out that, oh my god, Punisher, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, they're so hardcore. I'm like, well, the Arrow skinned a dude alive in one of the episodes. I mean, we don't need to go to that kind of level of brutality, but we can. And those TV shows from the other people don't have the bad guys that we do. And what are some of the worst fucking bad guys in history? Fucking Nazis. So there you have it. This is what Crisis on Earth X is about. Our heroes, experience an invasion from this multiverse Earth where pretty much Nazis have taken over. I am kind of disappointed that Superman was not in this episode, because in the DC Comics lore, there is a totalitarian Superman that, was seen in Multiversity by Grant Morrison. Also, if you're a 90s kid, you might have seen him in one of the episodes of the animated Superman Adventures. So yeah, I was kind of sad that this totalitarian wasn't, featured as far as Superman, but it did give the other characters a moment to shine. Especially Arrow and Supergirl. I didn't expect them to be in cahoots in the, as a couple in the, the bad guy world. But yeah, one of the things that DC does well is giving the middle finger to actual bad guys that deserve it. And, in this day and age when you have actual Nazis in the streets who don't feel shame to run over people with cars, I'm like, dude, fuck that. This is what our superheroes should be talking about, not from fucking, social justice, but actual fucking justice in an unjust world. So if you don't want your superheroes to talk about Nazis, how about you get rid of them in real life? Convert him to sanity, perhaps. In the meantime, I will enjoy my superheroes beating the shit out of them. And this 4-part episode is pretty damn great. They look amazing on my 4K TV. I had a crappier TV about a year and a half ago, and I didn't like the CW shows that much because I was like, man, these special effects look like crap, and it was actually my TV. So I am very happy to be enjoying them, and that's why it made it relevant on this list. Now, number 5 is a combination of a few things, or a tie. DC Comics has been really, really good this past year. People try to nitpick like one or two things, they'll make a fuss about a certain panel and it'll just be something stupid. But other than that, pretty much everybody else is doing their best. For instance, the Rebirth sales, they were pretty damn good this year. There is a website I'm not even going to plug in. It goes, I think it's something like bleedingculeros.com or some shit like that. But they were talking about like Marvel's nowhere in their list of top selling items. We never had that kind of stuff, and now that the Marvel comics also count for the Disney comics, that's a big chunk of the market. But not even that, they were able to match many of the DC titles and the excitement. One of the things that I found really interesting is that I don't really care about numbers. I'm really liking about the quality. Sales numbers is like what the executives worry about. But if you make a good product, you kind of have to, realize that people will flock to it. Marvel said like, oh, we're not going to do social justice commentary. Fuck that shit. I'm like, well, if you're smart about it, you don't really need to. You can convey social commentary into entertaining stories. X-Men. So that's what you can do. That's how you fucking do it. I mean, our Trinity is an alien in Amazon and a little boy who pretends to be an adult, dressed in a Batman costume. I mean, come on. You have like a really good diversity over there. So yeah, one of the surprising things that came with it is the fact that Brian Michael Bendis, a staple of the Marvel comics, is coming to work for DC. You guys might not be following this, but prior to Age of Ultron, there was the Marvel Committee. They were the ones responsible for setting up the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they were the ones who wanted Ant-Man instead of Iron Man 2. But when they were purchased, when Marvel Studios was purchased by Disney, Disney said, well, Edgar Wright is taking too long, fuck it, we'll just make a sequel to Iron Man 2. And, eventually that committee was disbanded by Kevin Feige. And, you got, you get what you pay for, and removing a lot of these Marvel guys made them kind of be like less relevant when it comes to the movies. That's why you can make a movie called civil war without actually having a civil war. If these movies were run by actual comic book guys, I'd be like, no, fuck that. You gotta have the fucking story. You can't make a movie called The Great Gatsby and make it about a talking fish. Name a Gatsby. Like, fuck that shit. So, that's what happened. And I look forward to what Brian Michael Bendis is going to do. My favorite comic of his is actually a graphic novel called Torso, about Elliot Ness in the early days of, criminal pathology of the serial killers in Chicago. Freaking awesome game. Not game. I want a game from the 1930s Chicago. It's a pretty awesome story. And, I had a giant break between classes at the college, and I just read that straight through for like 2.5 hours, I think, or maybe 3 hours. I don't know. But I was hooked. But anyways, the other cool thing is that what the talent over at DC is bringing is fucking amazing. I don't know if you guys paid attention to the Comic-Con last year, but this title, The Terrifics, was announced. And it looks pretty damn awesome. I mean, you have Mr. Terrific being, the lead. You have a couple new faces in there, and it's starting to look like it's going to be the breakthrough comic for me. I think this is going to take place after a couple other things in the DC universe, and I am pretty damn excited. Now, the other thing that you might not have paid attention is to how awesome these other ones, the other titles by DC's label called Young Animal. They kind of look like hipster comics, but they're not hipster comics. That's Fantagraphics. Shout out to Fantagraphics. They're pretty awesome. It's not a diss. It's a plug. But yeah, Young Animal is a label started by Gerard Way. And yeah, it's pretty damn awesome. I haven't read many of those. But the ones that I've read, over at my local comic book store or library, I just kind of check them out for free, But I would like to buy them eventually. What I have read so far, they're pretty damn awesome. And, they keep going, and it might be like their new Vertigo, DC has already revolutionized the comic book industry with Vertigo comics, and Young Animal has that kind of potential, to kind of discover new talent, and then they can maybe graduate to go to Vertigo and stuff like that. So that's why all these things are number 5. Because, while the competition is like, yeah, we're not going to put minorities or, social justice things in this one, in our comics, DC's like, we're just going to tell you good stories. Alrighty, number 4, Metal. What the hell is Metal? Is it a... Well, pretty damn simple. When Joe Kubert redid Hawkman in the Silver Age, it's about a scientist who discovers an ancient mace in an ancient civilization, and this ancient civilization used to worship an alien race, the Thanagarians, as gods. Now replace that Egypt with Thor mythology, and then you have the Thor. This is what inspired Thor. So Joe Kubert has his own comic book university, and a couple of my friends, have actually gone there. This is the legacy of DC. It even improves other companies. So that story with Joe Kubert kind of sparked this latest, giant ensemble of heroes. Hawkman is, he gets his powers from basically his advanced technology and something called the nth metal. A lot of people were like, it's just kind of a magical metal that does a lot of wonderful things and has a lot of wonderful properties. We just never really got around to it. So Scott and Snyder and Greg Capullo decided to tackle it. And much like the Batman Court of Owls mythology that has even made it to, Fox's Gotham TV shows, this freaking comic book has been fucking amazing. They go into an alternate world where the nth metal is found. And what they discover is that they have all these corrupted entities, from many versions of Batman, many versions of a Batman Joker hybrid, and a Doomsday nth metal weird fucking thing. It's really damn awesome. And without spoiling anything, I believe that they have released that the Terrifics, come out of this aftermath. And yeah, it's pretty well made. Greg Capullo has been doing terrific work with Batman. He used to do Spawn, so all the artwork is sick. And Scott Snyder is doing amazing writing. It's such a crazy, wild idea. And yet, it's freaking paying off. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. This brand new director's edition of the reprint of the first issue is available. You get some extra sketches and some commentary. If you want to pick it up, you can pre-order the graphic novels, and I think I'm just going to wait for the omnibus. I'm just going to buy this giant fucking fat book because they have, tie-ins and, alternate covers and stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely jump in. If you get the chance, get the t-shirt that lists all the important comics on the back, kind of like a metal band tour. It is one of the best, comic books of this year. So definitely check it out. Number 3. Justice League, the movie. Much has been said about this movie. I've seen it now 3 times. We'll go see it a 4th time with the family. And yeah, I like it, As far as, the social media aspect of it, on Twitter, the same people who were complaining about Warner Brothers butchering this movie, they're somehow giving a pass to Disney butchering Star Wars. Not once, but twice. So, they even blamed us DC guys for fucking Star Wars. It's like, really? What the fuck did we do? And then Forbes and Rotten Tomatoes were like, no, the DC fanboys were not hacking our page. They were not giving shitty reviews to this movie. Later on, they blame everybody but Disney. Of course, fucking the alt-right is going to be angry about, certain female characters. They're angry about everything. So people were like, oh yeah, the alt-right and anti-feminist and racist. If you hate Star Wars, you hate this movie. I'm like, fuck, dude. So much fucking fear-mongering. It sounds like fucking Lex Luthor is running this goddamn corporation with so much fucking phobia and fear and misinformation. Fuck that shit. So yeah, for all the horrible, behind-the-scenes stuff that happened with Justice League, now I'm just like, fuck, we dodged a really giant bullet. Justice League could have been as bad as The Last Jedi, and it isn't. But social media will let you know that, they'll give The Last Jedi a pass for raping characters, and they just didn't even allow Rey to grow. They didn't even do justice to the LGBT community with Poe Dameron and Finn. But, they blame the Justice League fans. Like, we even get blamed for that shit. Now, the movie itself, I liked it. I think that some of the humor that Joss Whedon brought, it stands out like a sore thumb. I could do with less with it. But other than that, despite the story and the pacing, every single character had a wonderful moment to shine. Aquaman, Cyborg, Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, they all fucking kicked ass. And one of the things that I really did like is that, if you compare it to the Avengers, Loki was Thanos' bitch. Whereas here, Steppenwolf was like, I'm trying to redeem myself so I can go back to Apocalypse. He wasn't anybody's bitch. He was just trying to redeem his own fucking honor. When he told the Amazonians, you will love me. Well, yeah, compared to fucking Darkseid, he seems like a goddamn puppy. So a lot of people missed out on, this movie just because they were willing to hate it. Just like a lot of people give The Last Jedi a pass because they're willing to love it. And I think it's a tale of two Frankenstein movies. The Justice League is a Frankenstein movie salvaged from the parts of a much longer cut by Zack Snyder. And, Joss Whedon played Frankenstein. Whereas, The Last Jedi was like, oh, let's take parts from Empire, parts from Return of the Jedi, and just shit on everything that The Force Awakens promised us, and hope for the best. I think that Zack Snyder wanted to do justice to the characters, whereas Joss Whedon wanted to do justice to the fans. I think Rian Johnson just wanted to do justice to his boss, Kathleen Kennedy, and that's it. So that's why you have a tale of two cities, and that's why it's worth mentioning The Last Jedi, quite simply because, we got blamed for shit that we didn't even do, and we were not even allowed to enjoy our own fucking movie. There was a giant week of, like we covered in the previous podcast, there was a giant week of rumors and bad press 1 week prior to release. Coincidentally, it's almost like some fucking corporation was like, okay, now you hit Jason Momoa, and you hit Ben Affleck, and you hit Gal Gadot. Oh, Gal Gadot shit was made up. Okay, we'll leave it out there, and maybe it'll come back. All that shit. The only two people who were left out of controversial stuff was, Cyborg and Ezra Miller. But I'm pretty sure, they will be digging, like kind of some Russian hacker spy shit. They're gonna have some compromat stuff to to do in the future. But if they let us enjoy our fucking movie, you will be amazed how good the Justice League is. Is it great? Is it Oscar worthy? Not necessarily. No. I think that Wagner, the cinematographer, promised us a lot of beautiful shots. And if Zack Snyder would have completed this film, maybe the cinematography might have gotten a nomination. That's the best we can do, and that's the best we could have hoped for. But other than that, it's been a long road. We wanted a movie from Justice League since the fucking 60s. I'm glad I have it. I will definitely support it, but I'm not going to be a blind sheep and be like, oh, it's perfect. Of course it's not. But I like it for what it is, and you should too. Anybody who tells you otherwise, tell them to fuck off and come to my channel, and I'll set them straight. Or not, I'll just tell them to fuck off. Number 2, Wonder Woman, the movie. That's right, folks. Now, if a lot of people were like, well, you put Wonder Woman on top of the Justice League, are you trying to be a social justice warrior? Are you trying to just, go with the online flock? Fuck no. Quite simply, Wonder Woman is this generation's Richard Donner's and Christopher Reeve's version of Superman. Quite simply because, the torch was passed from Linda Carter to Gal Gadot at the premiere. That seemed to, quiet people complaining. I recall Christopher Reeve's cameo in Smallville. He passed on the torch to that version of Superman, and a lot of people still didn't, they were like, well, I still don't like Smallville. I still don't like that Superman. # not my Superman. I want my country back. So there's double standards here. It seems that the people who bitch about movies, mostly like angry white dudes from the fucking 50s or some shit, they can't let go of Christopher Reeves, even though George Reeves, with an S, did a much larger portrayal. He had a much bigger take on the role, and to me, he iconified better Superman in black and white or in color, resulting in his tragic death. He died from depression and committing suicide. So he was definitely my Superman. If we're gonna like be a dicks about it and be like, oh well, my Superman is better than your Superman, well, yeah, George Reeves from the TV show and the cinema, he really kicked a lot of ass as Superman. And if you want to be a hipster about it, but Collider from the radio show did over 2,000 episodes. So yeah, you still want to bitch about your Superman? Fuck that. So unlike Superman, Wonder Woman only had the Wonder Woman TV show. And, that was fine, for a lot of people. They're like, okay, well, I don't know much about, Wonder Woman except being an icon in the 70s TV show, so I guess I'm okay with Gal Gadot. But for a lot of us who actually, saw Diana develop, I first saw her and Grant Morrison's Justice League run. I was like, oh shit, Wonder Woman's, she's OP as fuck. Later on, when the 1990s came to an end and they were doing a lot of cool stuff with the character, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't agree with, but then, there were a lot of takes on the character. Brian Azzarello, for as much as controversy as you want to give him, he did some cool stuff with the character. And, the classic one is always George Perez, Wonder Woman. So when Patty Jenkins did Monster and was nominated for an Oscar and got a lot of rave reviews and a lot of amazing awards and then didn't do anything, a lot of people were like, well, I don't know if she's going to have what it takes, and I'm glad Deborah Snyder and Zack Snyder, decided to go with her because she's done an amazing job. She definitely brought that charisma that Wonder Woman needed. But not only that, I think that, a lot of people like things for how it makes them look on social media. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's great that a woman is directing Wonder Woman, but Patty Jenkins is first and foremost a great fucking artist. It's not like they just chose a token woman. She's fucking great. Meanwhile, Kathleen Kennedy says no woman can direct Star Wars. Research it, boycott it. You're not going to do that. It's Disney. So, here you have a tale of two studios. One who's spoon-feeding you bullshit, and says, yeah, no woman can direct Star Wars. Meanwhile, Warner Bros. is like, watch me. And, gave out one of the best comic books adaptations ever. One thing to notice is that, the competition can just churn out shit like Iron Man 2 and 3 or Thor 1, 2, and 3. I don't know. I mean, they don't really have any stakes. Meanwhile, fucking Warner Brothers has to do The Dark Knight and change the Oscar categories forever and, put a woman superhero directed by a woman and change Hollywood standards forever. Like, what the fuck? And like, and I think that's one of the reasons why, women's struggle isn't as shocking to us DC fans, because we've had an uphill battle, DC Comics has invented a lot of shit that Marvel's just ripped off and be like, haha, we can do, thank you for inventing this, let the man handle it. That's kind of, it feels, being the underdog, me being Mexican, dude, it's always a fucking uphill battle. My mom, raised us because my dad was working here in the States. She raised us in Mexico, so I didn't have a problem with the strong female archetype. In fact, people are always typecasting Latinas as feisty. It's like, no, they're not feisty. They are just women, and they're just badass people. That's what it means to be someone who has courage. Someone who doesn't buckle under the pressure of the men. So yeah, even though, a lot of people didn't grow with the character, they're kind of trendy, and they're like, this is the only DC movie I like, or, oh my god, this is like, changed my life forever. Well, Wonder Woman's been with us for quite some fucking while. Please read comics. So yeah, I hope that it gets nominated, because, what better way to tell fuck off to assholes in Hollywood taking advantage of men and women, with a, in the workplace, then nominating Patty Jenkins for Best Director and Wonder Woman for Best Film. Fuck yeah, let's do it. See you at the Oscars. My beer is gone, and so is this list. The number one event of 2017 for DC Comics is this. Drumroll, please. Alright, here we go. Fox attempted to purchase Time Warner, and with it DC Comics. Guess what happened later in the fucking year? That's right, Disney bought Fox Studios. Now, a lot of you people online seem to be bitching about, Kevin Tetsuhura, like, oh, he screwed up, Justice League, he doesn't know what he's doing, he should be fired, and I'm like, hold the fucking phone over here, guys. I recall there was a lot of outrage by some people who own large parts of stock in Warner Brothers. They wanted to make the movies more like Marvel, just dumb shit humor, and kid friendly and not rated R, like the ultimate cut of Batman vs Superman, and just kind of like, just do what they're doing. How dare you, have the balls to try in anything? How dare you bring an art film to a TV type movie of the week shit that the competition's doing? How dare you, sir? Well, here's the fucking genius of Kevin Tetsuhara. He fucking avoided selling to Fox because they knew, guess what? Disney's going to buy Fox later in the year. I'm just kind of going speculation here. If you don't think there is corporate espionage that kind of finds shit out, you're wrong. I'm pretty damn sure there's a lot of pressure on Warner Brothers to sell to Disney, be more like Disney. Just fucking throw caution to the wind and just join the empire. But, Warner Brothers is going to have an up fight. In fact, here, let me show you. This is IMDb's top 10 films of 2017. And you can tell there's a clear split between DC Comics and Warner Brothers and Marvel and Disney. It's not a coincidence, folks. In the upcoming year, in the upcoming battles, Warner Brothers, Universal, and who else? Sony. Sony's in kind of cahoots with Disney because of Spider-Man. So we're going to have very, very few studios who are going to want to fight the monopoly of Disney. And fuck, we dodge a giant fucking mousetrap. So for that is the number one issue. And here is the thing. Why isn't the media talking about it? Now, if my channel ever gets canceled or somebody digs up bullshit about me, I'm pretty sure they have other things, that they're going to be naming. But this might be the one. The FCC is not going to look into it. Journalists are not going to look into it. Not even the New York Times is going to look into it. I mean, sure, feel free to write to them and be like, hey, is there any kind of shady shit going on with this? What would have happened, if Warner Brothers sold to Fox and then Fox was purchased by Disney? It would have been a fucking disaster, So yeah, that's my number one of the year. And, if you're a blogger or YouTuber or stuff like that, what can you do? Well, don't jump to conclusions. When Gal Gadot, when they made the rumor about her, I saw a lot of people on Twitter just jumping to conclusions like, I am disappointed, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, give people the benefit of the doubt. Turn out to be fake, right? So, don't spread rumors. Definitely don't be a blind sheep. But expand your horizons and kind of pay attention to what the fuck's going on out there. Because otherwise, you get what you pay for. People wanted somebody who wasn't as smart as them and governing them. and they usually get like a shitty mayor of the town, a shitty governor, shitty president, and so forth. You pay what you ask for. If you keep supporting shit entertainment, that's what you're gonna get. If you do support good artwork, you're gonna keep getting that. Anyways, so this has been a wonderful 2017 by yours truly. I have been asked to join a gaming podcast. So yeah, I'll be doing more Xbox related stuff. I will also not be giving up on DC. I will have more content and maybe join some other podcasts. Anyways, just want to give out a giant shout out to everybody who listens to me, and I'll see you next year. Stay safe, super friends.